How did the season go? How did you end up doing?
Horrible. I was 9 weeks out. I had a medical issue and I couldn't train for almost 3 weeks. 9 weeks out, really, I felt so bad. But I decided to still do it, the Worlds, finish strong, and yeah, I got rewarded.
What's going on, everyone? In today's episode, I'm thrilled to be joined by pro natural bodybuilder Julian Strickler. From Lucerne, Switzerland, Julian owns an online physique coaching business with his girlfriend. He is the head judge of the Swiss Natural Bodybuilding Federation, or the SNBF, and he is the 2022 WNBF Worlds bronze medalist in the middleweight class. That competition is the most prestigious natural bodybuilding competition in the world. In our conversation, Julian shares his natural bodybuilding story. And to be frank, it's jaw-dropping. Over his years of competing, from beginning as an amateur to winning his pro card to doing his first several pro-level competitions, all the way to winning the bronze medal at the WNBF Worlds competition in 2022, Julian's been through a lot. That includes an especially devastating event that occurred when he was just 9 weeks out of the first competition of his 2022 season, which, through basically pure grit and determination, he managed to overcome and ultimately end up winning third best in the world by the end of the season. You're going to find a ton of both relatability and inspiration from this episode, and I know you're going to love it. And just quickly, before we dive in, I want to let you know that I've included Julian's Instagram link in the description below, so be sure to go ahead and check that out and give him a follow. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in. When did you first start competing?
So I started competing in 2010, where I competed as a junior. I was 20 years old back then, and I competed at the Swiss Natural Bodybuilding Federation, and I won the junior class 2010, and went to WNBF Worlds in New York, which was really an iconic championship. And there I competed as an amateur lightweight and became 8th place, I guess, 7th or 8th. And yeah, that was my first competition year. And after around 6 years of training, I started 2004 with weightlifting when I was around 14 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you started lifting 2004, and then you did your first season in 2010. You did the Swiss competition with the Swiss Natural Bodybuilding Federation. Then, and you won that. Then you competed in WNBF Worlds in New York, and then you came 8th, which is still insane, 8th in the world. What was that? What was that like? Were you excited about competing at Worlds? Were you excited about your placing, just getting to stand on stage with like some of the best natural bodybuilders in the world? What was that like?
I was super excited because back then I was also super excited to compete for the first time. I really I did. Back then the diets, normal diets, were around 8 weeks or 12 weeks, and so I did a 8-week diet on my first competition. And before that 8 weeks diet, my nutrition was so I didn't track anything, and I didn't really eat like a bodybuilder. I had a coach who was a friend of my father, and he just gave me a nutrition plan for these 8 weeks. And then I changed within 8 weeks from from a normal guy to a bodybuilder. And I was not very muscular, but I was very lean. So I was the leanest in my class. But yeah, for sure, I I didn't have enough muscles, but I just was the leanest. So I won the class, and I was super exciting. Also, yeah, the trip to New York, everything. Yeah, so I mean, I was also super happy with the eighth place. Yeah, and also with the win at the Swiss Championship. Yeah, was I think also probably the win where I also was most happy about, because it was the first one. So yeah.
Yeah, it must have been nice to just get a little bit of affirmation that you've got potential with the sport. If you won your first time, it's like, hey, I can, maybe I can go even further with this.
That's so
So you,
true. Yeah, true. Yeah. I
so
also think maybe if I have lost, I'm not sure if maybe I would have stopped. I mean, I don't know, but it definitely was a reason to keep going.
it's funny because I have a very similar experience. My first competition was in 2018 or 2019. It was 2018 or 2019, and it was a relatively small competition, and I came first in my weight class. Or actually, it was the competition was a little bit different than like how the WNBF does it. So it was not divided in weight, but it was divided like how the IFBB does it. It was divided by height, and then there's weight
Okay.
caps for the height,
Yeah.
and it was a natural show. But I came first, and that was kind of the same experience for me. I didn't win the overall, but I won my height and weight, and that gave me a little bit of a push to keep competing. It got me excited about it because when I first went into it, I didn't know what to expect, and it was like, oh, this is
Mhm.
actually really awesome. I got some potential. So I kind of have a similar experience. I haven't come first since then, so it's been like a battle
Mhm.
to to work my way back up again. But I'm glad that it worked out that way. Um, so when you dieted for those first shows, it was an 8-week diet. So that's
Yeah.
crazy. And you
That's
mentioned your coach gave you a plan. So it was just like when you said it was just a nutrition plan, like he just gave you specific meals to follow, no calories or macros, just eat like chicken, rice, and these vegetables for each of these meals. That's kind of how it looked.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it was really like that. And also before, what's really crazy, like before these 8 weeks when I started with the nutrition plan, I I really just ate everything. I remember I was at the festival 8 weeks out before I started, where I drank alcohol, cocktails, and I was really, I mean, training was already a huge part, but nutrition was not such a big part back then. And and I mean, for sure, I was not fat, so I didn't need to lose too much weight. But I would say I was just skinny. And then when I just changed nutrition, also with the metabolism I had with 20 years, it changed a lot. And
Do you remember how
back
much
then
weight you
8
lost?
weeks was like normal. It was like a normal prep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how much things have changed now. It's like
Yeah,
it's 2025 now, and what seems to be more of the standard in natural bodybuilding is like long preps are
yeah,
becoming increasingly more popular. 20 plus weeks, 24 plus weeks, at least 6 months a lot of the time, if not more. Like Jeff likes the really long preps. That's what I've done the last couple
Even
of times.
pre-prep cuts and everything. So it starts already earlier, right? So that's
the prep before the prep. Yeah.
It changed
Do you
a lot.
remember? Do you remember how much weight you lost in those 8 weeks?
I would say around probably around 8 to 10 kilos.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just like
It was hard. It was hard.
at least 1 kilo per week. That's crazy. So I'm just thinking in pounds, over 2 pounds per week, which is that's crazy. Cool.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
So
also after that, it was normal that the next competition season was almost the same. And in 2012, I competed again, and there I did, I think, like 12 weeks diet or something like that.
a little bit longer.
A little bit longer. I took a little
bit.
bit more time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But until then, I just ate as much as I could.
What was it that
Yeah.
What was it that made you decide to compete for the first time? So you were lifting since 2004. What made you decide to actually approach it from a competitive standpoint and then continue to do it? You prepped again in 2012. Where did the drive come from?
That's a really, really good question. And I'm sure it was my father. He was a bodybuilder as well. And he competed back then in the IFBB, but he was always natural. But when he competed as a young competitor, there were no natural organizations. So he competed in IFBB, and he was board of the SNBF at the very beginning. So he built up the SNBF basically. This federation, which is the oldest federation in Europe, the oldest WNBF affiliate in Europe.
Wow.
And and he was the reason. So I got involved very early with bodybuilding just as a fan. So also already as a child, I went watching competitions. So it came very, very naturally for me. We also had a gym at home. So for me, it was super easy to get into the sport.
One of the other questions that I had for you, and I think I have an idea based off of this past answer. The question is, what made you decide to not just compete and to continue training for years, but also what made you decide to stay natural, considering so many people that have lifted for a long time, maybe they train for a few years and then they do decide that they want to take the enhanced route. Was the reason that you decided to stay on the natural route, compete in the SNBF and WNBF? Was your father a big inspiration to stay natural too, considering he competed competed naturally as well?
For sure, yeah, for sure. I mean, from him, I had heard many negative stories about people who died back in the days, who abused drugs. So I heard many of these stories. My father was really always pro natural, and that's why he also supported the federation. And for me, I never really thought about it to change because just of the health, of the potential health issues. For me, it was always natural bodybuilding, and I always admired the natural bodybuilding look also. So also now I mean, for sure, there are certain athletes who look amazing, enhanced athletes. But to be very honest, I admired like this dry, natural look. So it's just different. So for me, yeah, it was
Yeah,
never.
I definitely get that. I'm definitely in the same boat as you. But that's awesome. It's cool that you had the influence of your father, and you also mentioned that he played a part just in competing and being part of the SNBF, which you mentioned is like the oldest affiliate of the WNBF. Is it How big is it now? Like, is natural bodybuilding relatively popular in Switzerland? Is it still really growing, or what would you say it looks like now?
I would say at the moment it's not growing, but it's certainly it's big in especially in Germany and Austria.
Yeah.
It's bigger than in Switzerland, but also in Switzerland, like the last couple of years, it was growing a little bit. Now it's maintaining, I would say. But I mean, we have the luck that we have Austria, which is very close. We have Germany, which is very close, and the natural bodybuilding scene in Germany and also in Austria is big, and that's also has a lot of impact, I would say, on Switzerland. And we have it is an international championship, so we also have a lot of international athletes every year who comes from Germany or also from Austria. So this has a lot of impact, I would say.
I'm curious, as someone who's been in natural bodybuilding for a good chunk of time, so you first competed in 2010, and like you have a family history with it too. Your dad was competing in the SNBF before that. I'm curious as to what your opinion is as to what do you think it would take to grow the popularity even more of natural bodybuilding, especially considering bodybuilding in general, I think it's like not super mainstream but even so the IFBB, which is mostly enhanced bodybuilding, I think it's what comes to mind when a mainstream person hears the word bodybuilding. They think of like Chris Bumstead and Ronnie Coleman and some of the really popular enhanced lifters, Schwarzenegger, like the golden era bodybuilders. So that's where I think to this day, that's where the majority of the popularity lies within bodybuilding. What do you think it would take? And do you think that there's potential for natural bodybuilding to grow in popularity, or to kind of catch up to the level of popularity of the IFBB?
I mean, I really hope so. And for me, I don't know where it will go. Sure, it also, as you said, it depends on Ronnie Coleman, Chris Bumstead. And I think if we have such role models also in Switzerland or in other countries, which are natural bodybuilders, I think this has the most impact. And it's also, we see it on our SNBF championship. If we have athletes competing which are big on social media, it has a big impact. So more people are coming to watch the show, more people are watching it on the live stream. So this has a really big impact. And yeah, for me, it's a little bit sad that the enhanced bodybuilding has more popularity. Because yeah, for me, the natural bodybuilding should be the real bodybuilding, to be honest. But I'm not sure if it's going that way. But it would be. I mean, one thing is, as I said, the like the people who are doing it, which impact the people, the athletes, the people. And the other thing is also the federation. Currently we have so many different federations, and it would be much more interesting if all would work together, like one big liga, like in soccer,
Yeah.
for example. I mean, that would also make the sport much more interesting.
Well, that does make sense. Even when you look at like the IFBB, they have affiliates within the IFBB, but ultimately it's like
Yeah,
one cohesive unit. And you're right,
yeah,
within natural bodybuilding, there are lots of different leagues and it's almost fragmented. I know that's definitely the case here in North America, especially. It's like that. And yeah, I think I've thought a lot about what you mentioned too about growing in popularity from the level of each individual athlete. So
mhm,
it's kind of like the sway of each athlete has the potential to bring in
yeah,
more people into the sport from the, I should say, the popularity of each individual athlete, which makes a lot of sense because that's true with like any sports, any sport, team sport, or the IFBB. People get into it because they have a favorite athlete that they like to follow. Actually, that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited to have these conversations, is so that people can get to know more natural bodybuilding athletes like you. You're
true.
one of the, you came top 3 at Worlds in 2022, and I have more questions about that. So we'll rewind, and I want to learn more about your natural bodybuilding background. But yeah, that's my hope, is getting to talk to people like you and to expose anyone who cares to listen to these conversations, to expose them to athletes like yourself to help maybe open up more of the world to natural bodybuilding. But anyways, rewinding a little bit. Okay, so you competed in 2012. That was your second prep. How did that season go compared to the first? I know you mentioned that it was a 12-week prep, not an 8-week, so you got the extra 4 weeks. But how did that season go?
I That season I only competed at the SNBF in the middleweight class, and I got, so it was the first season I competed in open bodybuilding. Before it was junior, and then, or yeah, in Switzerland, and there I competed at the middleweight, and I got second. 2012, I got second. I did only one championship. They asked me if I want to go to. I could go to Worlds if I want to, but my battery was low, so yeah. So that was the only competition I did in 2012.
And when you competed and you got second, when you finished, were you, what was the feeling there, especially after having come from the season before that where you came first in that very first competition? Were you
Yeah.
excited that you got second? Were you a little bit disappointed? Did you finish and were you immediately like, "Hey, I got to get back to the grind so I can compete again to keep trying to win?" Or where was your mindset at that point?
I was excited because I was excited on one side because it was the first time I competed in Switzerland in open class. So second place is, yeah, it's a good result. But the one who won, he was much older than I was, and many people told me afterwards, yeah, you should have won. Yeah, so that's why I had some mixed feelings. Um, but overall, I would say I was excited. But the best season I would say was 2014.
2014. Okay.
2014, yeah, 2 years later.
What was
And
it about that season that made it good?
I would say it was just the age or the period where I gained a lot of muscle mass. I ate a lot. I trained very hard. My stress level was super low. So I was studying. I had enough time to sleep and everything. So I still lived at home. So everything was perfect. And I went really hard into this off season. I pushed really hard, and I competed in the heavyweight. So I competed in the heavyweight 2014. I was quite heavier, and I won the heavyweight class in Switzerland. So I went
Wow.
to second middleweight to first place heavyweight.
Wow.
And I also competed at the UKDFBA in the UK, where I
Yep.
got third in the international class. And I went to WNBF Worlds, where I won the light heavyweight class and overall. And there I got my pro card with the overall.
Wow.
This
So
was my best competition year.
So you won your pro card at WNBF Worlds.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So that's probably the most prestigious competition that you could possibly win, the most competitive competition you could possibly win your pro card at.
Yeah, absolutely. And back then, it was also the only way to win a pro card. So in
Okay.
in Switzerland, you only could win the pro card at the Worlds if
Right.
you win your category and if there were enough athletes in this category. But back then, it was not possible to win the pro card at the national championship. So it was
Wow.
back then the only way. And I remember 1 year later, it was possible to win the pro card or with an overall, for example.
Wow. That is incredibly impressive. I know it's a lot different now. So here to win a pro
Yeah.
card in the US and Canada, like in Canada, we have Canadian WNBF shows, and as long as there's enough competitors, and like so, if it's open bodybuilding, as long as I think there's at least 4 or 5 competitors, I think I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the exact number, but as long as there's a certain number of competitors and you win the overall, then you'll win a pro card. Basically at I think at almost any show, as far as I know. I shouldn't say unless I'm 100% sure, but that's my understanding. So I think it's statistically easier, still hard, but easier to get a pro card than what the context was like, what your context was like in 2014.
Absolutely. It's easier, but it makes it also more interesting because people are traveling from other countries to compete in other countries because of that reason, because they want to win a pro card, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that makes it also more interesting and motivates the athletes to compete more and
Was
in
that
several countries.
was that really what you were competing for? Was that the main goal, that you wanted
No,
that pro card?
no. I mean, I for sure it was some. I mean, yeah, for sure it was something I wished I have one day, but it was never the only goal. So yeah, I was really surprised. 2014, I didn't imagine to also to win in Switzerland and yeah. Um, I was very super thrilled.
What was What were the main drivers for you? I know that you mentioned earlier, like your dad was a big influence for you growing up. You grew around, like you had a home gym, I think you mentioned. So like there's
Yeah.
equipment that was accessible to you. But as you kept competing 2010, 2012, 2014, if the pro card wasn't the main driver to keep competing, what was it that was your main goal in continuing to compete?
I would say just to, yeah, to get better, to to beat myself, um, and yeah, just like, I mean, I couldn't live without it. I would also say it's not really only about the competing. So
Yeah.
I really just love the whole process also of dieting. Even if I'm not competing, I'm not the person who loves the stage.
Yeah.
For example, my girlfriend, she's completely the opposite. She loves, she enjoys the stage. She really enjoys the moment on stage, and she struggles a little bit more with the process, and I'm completely the opposite. So I love the process. I love the prep, the grind, um, but I could do it also without the competition. So it's
Yeah.
nice, but it's not like that I really love it. I
Yeah.
sometimes I also feel a little bit, um, yeah. uh, I'm not always feeling 100% well on stage. Like the
Yeah.
feeling is sometimes, yeah, you're a little bit nervous. You're not so sure if you look good. So yeah.
I really get that. I think that
Mhm.
for me, thinking about it, if I never were to compete again, never were to consider it, I would still live the exact same way. Still train
Awesome.
hard, try to
Yeah.
keep progressing and keep eating the same way that I eat. And it's more so
Yeah.
just for the same reasons that you described. Like I really like the lifestyle. I really like
Yeah.
eating in a structured way, and I like eating mostly whole foods, unprocessed stuff, and lots of protein. I like that, and I really like training hard. So I'm just thinking that if I were to not compete again, I don't think I would change a thing about my lifestyle as well. It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because like you mentioned, it's like there's different types of personalities. Like some people seem to train for the purpose of getting on stage and for winning shows, and then there's other personalities that they just like training and like living the
Hmm.
lifestyle, and it's like the competitive element is just something that gives them something to focus towards in particular.
Sure.
So it's interesting. I think I kind of am similar to you as you're talking. That's what I'm thinking anyways. But yeah, that's
I
awesome.
mean,
So yeah, go ahead.
I think that the goal is important, as you said, to know, yeah, compete again, or even if it's in 2 years or in 3 years, I approach training differently. But at the end, it's about, for me, yeah, as you said, it's about the journey. I really,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I could really do it and not go to the championship, and it was still worth it for
It's
me.
kind of addicting, isn't it? Like just
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
it's
it
really
is.
addicting.
Yeah.
Um, what was it like? So like that 2014 season, for example, balancing the prep with your work outside of the prep. Was that a struggle? Was it something that was easy to balance?
It was not always easy. It's on some preps for sure it was easier than on others. Depends on the circumstances, but generally, I think I always did something besides bodybuilding. So I always had, yeah, was working 100% or 100% at school, at university. So I don't know how it is if bodybuilding is the full focus, or yeah, if the focus is would be more on bodybuilding. Um, I would say for sure it was also a struggle sometimes, but I'm also someone who talks a lot to the people around me about it. So people at my company, at my office, they know what I'm doing, so they know me. So I think it helps a lot if you if they know what's going on, and and if you talk open about it, and if you are proud of it, then most people are also interested in. So for me it was never like a real issue. I was always able to handle it in some way.
Do you find that you're the kind of person that, like, when you're deep into prep, that you start to feel like especially hyper focused and hyper fixated on the prep itself, on like getting leaner and the bodybuilding competitions that are coming up? I know, for one of the reasons I ask is, for me, that's something that I find. The deeper I get into it, the more I start to get fixated on it. Like when I'm on YouTube, um, my YouTube feed starts to get populated by more and more like natural bodybuilding vlog videos and like healthy eating videos and that sort of thing. So I get more of a fixation, and it's got better over the years that I've competed. Like I've kind of cooled that down a little bit. But do you find, like, when you're doing your job outside of natural bodybuilding, that it's harder to focus on work outside of the natural bodybuilding?
I never had an issue with work. So for sure my focus is crazy on bodybuilding if I'm doing a prep. So it's exactly as you mentioned, and it gets better over the years, but I think that's still a point I really have to work on, just to keep it a little bit more relaxed and enjoy the moment outside of it. I think this is definitely something which I have to work on. But when it comes to work, I always have a very good focus when I'm even better when I'm on prep. I mean, for sure, not at the end of prep, but like in the middle of prep, I usually have a really, really good focus. Sometimes, in the morning better. In the afternoon, it gets blurred.
Yeah, it all starts to get cloudy. Yeah.
It gets cloudy, so
Yep.
I usually do the important work in the morning. But usually I have a very good focus, and I also like it to to if I don't need to think always about it. I mean, it helps if I have a distraction. I think that's also very important. For sure, there are also negative distractions, but I think if it's a positive distraction, and work can be a positive distraction if it's not too stressful, if you don't stress yourself too much about it, then it can be a really positive distraction.
Yeah, I found something similar in that prep almost seems more enjoyable when not fixating on it, like having other things in the day to focus on to help keep things compartmentalized. So like maybe you have other things to look forward to or that are keeping you mentally busy, so that the time that's going by is a little bit, I think it's more enjoyable that way. That way you're not like so
Absolutely.
fixated on one thing that it starts to feel stale, or you start to feel anxious about it, overly excited almost.
I mean, I imagine it as horrible if you would only have bodybuilding as only purpose, and you are the whole day at home and waiting for the next meal.
Oh, that's the
That would be
worst.
horrible. That's the
I've
worst.
always Yeah, I've always found that the most difficult days for me have always been like on non-work days where I don't have anything planned, when I should like
Mhm.
go plan to do fun things or
Mhm.
to keep myself busy, when I've got like nothing, and then it's almost like boredom kicks in, and then
Yeah.
when you get bored, then what are you going to do? You're going to think about bodybuilding, and then how
Yeah.
hungry you are or how tired you are. And then
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
that nothing seems to go terribly well from that happening often. But okay.
Absolutely.
So you won your pro card 2014. I know that you came top 3 at Worlds in 2022. Did you do seasons in between, or
2022.
did you do like a big long,
I
like a
did
super long off season, or what did that look like?
I did 2 seasons in between. So one was 2015, which was the only back-to-back season I did with 2014, and I did a Pro Cup at the UK DFBA in England and the Pro Cup in Switzerland. And I think I got sixth in England and fifth in Switzerland. So it was my...
And that would have been your pro debut, right? So what was that?
Yeah.
Did you notice any big differences compared to like competing as an amateur all of a sudden to competing against other pros?
Yeah. I mean the level was outstanding. Both pro classes were really stacked. Babacar competed in one class in
Wow.
Switzerland. It was his first championship, so he was not in shape as he is now, but he was still crazy.
The potential was there.
The potential was
Yeah.
100% there, and yeah, I mean, for me it was a really good result, fifth place. Yeah, and the level was super high.
Did you have any expectations going into it, or were you pretty open-minded? Like, hey, we'll see how we do first time competing against the pros. And
I mean, that's very cool when you compete as a pro, especially for the first time. You have no more pressure because, I mean, the standard is very high. I mean, for sure, you want to beat yourself, you want to be in a good shape. But when it comes to results, I really had no pressure, because for me it was it was anyway outstanding to be able to participate in a pro class. So that was the whole win already.
that's awesome. Did you have someone coaching you throughout these competitions, like 2014 and then this 2016? Did you have someone helping you, or was
No.
it self-coached?
I was, as I said, on the very first competition, I have someone who was
Right.
not a real coach as we know it today. It was
Yep.
meal plan, and then all the others competition, 2012, 2014, 2015, and 2018, I had no coach. So I coached myself through these years. And yeah, it's 2014, it was super successful. 2015 as well. And then I competed again in 2018.
Okay.
And there I did a huge mistake. I did only one championship, only one, which was the WNBF Worlds.
You
So
just
I
went
would
all in.
never, yeah, I went all in, but you can imagine it was, I mean, at the first championship, you're a little bit like rusty, you're nervous. Yeah, you never get your full potential on the first championship, especially after 3 years off season. So, and coaching myself. So, all the others did like 2 or 3 championships before and were super pumped. And I was nervous, not 100% ready, and I got 8 in the middleweight pro class 2018.
Got it. You put all of your eggs in one basket. That's tough too, right? Because
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
traveling really far. Where was Worlds that year? Was it in New York again?
LA. It was in LA.
So it was even farther. So you had to go all the way across the Atlantic then all the
Yeah.
way across North America. So that's a lot of, that would have been a 9-hour difference, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Big time change.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that makes it tough,
Absolutely.
tough
Yeah, and
to,
I would never recommend doing only one championship and then the WNBF Worlds. You need to makes sense to do like a warm up show where the competition is not that high. It
right.
makes
And
100% sense.
it gives you, yeah. And then I guess it gives you an opportunity to like test out your peak strategy
Yeah,
before, and so you can probably feel more confident about it, at least with doing one competition beforehand. But that makes sense.
100%. Yeah.
When you finished that competition, did you feel like were you immediately kind of were you unhappy with the result right away, or was it like, okay, like it happened, I'm going to go back to the grind and I'll just, I'm going to get back to work? Or what was the feeling after you finished?
I was unhappy, and I was also at the first moment, I was not sure if I would compete again. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. So it was a really disappointing one then.
I mean, it was disappointing, but yeah, I mean, it was my fault. So it was 100% my fault.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I knew I just wanted to go back into off season, and I was not sure about if I really compete again.
Right. Um I'm curious about this. I can relate. When I competed in 2021, I had a disappointing prep as well. And
Hmm.
this is before working with Jeff Alberts. This is the season before I
Hmm.
worked with him, and I self-coached myself through this prep too.
Okay.
And it was similar. Like I did it, and I only did one show that season and it didn't go the way that I wanted. And I kind of had similar feelings. I was really it's tough, right? When you put in so many weeks and
Yeah.
months of hard training and dieting, and it all boils down to this one point, and when it doesn't go the way that you want, it can feel like a pretty big hit.
Yeah.
So when you experience that, did you just was it a lot of like self-doubt, like, hey, I don't know how much farther I can take this, or was it just completely circumstantial that like that singular experience kind of turned off competing for you in the moment? Or what what do you think it was? Where did the majority of the disappointment come from, do you feel?
I would say I felt like I'm not a good bodybuilder. I'm not good enough. And I will never be able to, yeah, to be successful in a pro class. So, and yeah, I mean, that
Well,
it was like I was good for amateurs, but way too bad for the pros. That was my situation. So it was really between these two classes, yeah, which made me think that I never be able to be successful in a pro class.
I really get that. I've definitely felt that.
Yeah,
I'm not a pro. I haven't won my pro card yet. So I get those feelings just about like winning the pro card.
yeah,
But I think that's super relatable. And I think, I mean, for me, it's helpful to hear that coming from such a high level pro natural bodybuilder as yourself, that it's not just like, it's just helpful to know that, hey, I'm not the only one that's
for
felt this
sure.
before, and
Yeah,
that so many others. I think it's probably more common than you'd think for natural bodybuilders to have those kind of experiences. Okay, so
yeah, and sometimes
you,
in natural bodybuilding, win and lose can be so close to each other.
yeah,
Can be
yeah,
so close. Sometimes one season you lose because I mean it's just like a situation in that moment you have to perform,
yeah.
and little adjustments can make a huge difference. The lineup can make a huge difference. So sometimes winning or losing is so close. And
well,
it
that's why
feels like,
they say like it a big part of it is it depends on who else shows up on the day, because it can be so close
yeah,
with the other
yeah.
athletes that are there. Did you was the next season after that, was that 2022?
Correct.
So that
That
gave
was,
you like a full 3-year off season pretty much.
yeah,
So
correct.
what was that like?
I worked with a coach, with Valentin Tambosi, from Austria. Not sure if you know him. He's not in bodybuilding anymore, but I worked with him, and it's changed a lot. So that really gave me also back the focus, the whole motivation. I saw progress again, and we did a full off season and pre-prep cut, and I really, I it was a completely different starting point. When I came into prep, I was already in a very good shape, and so that
Wow.
was completely different to what I experienced before. Before it was
What
just freestyle, and
what would you say were some of the biggest benefits or the biggest changes compared to, so having a coach for the off season and for the prep itself, compared to being self-coached for the preps before that? What were some of the biggest changes and the biggest benefits?
that I approached training very professionally already in the off season, which so I really already had this laser focus in the off season, and also when it comes to nutrition. I mean, back then in 2014 or also 2015, off season was just eating whatever I could. I mean, I always ate healthy for sure, but I just ate as much as I could until prep starts.
Yeah. That's the bulk,
And
right? Just get as much
exactly,
down
that was really
beforehand.
the
Yeah.
bulk.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I mean, the biggest difference for sure was to approach the off season already super professional, and at the end the starting point, how I looked when I started with the prep. That just makes a huge difference, because at the end, time is the most important parameter factor, and if you have enough time, that just ends up to a better result most of the time.
Yeah. How did
Yeah,
you so how did the season go? How did you end up doing?
horrible.
Oh,
I mean, no, it went good, but the problem was I was 9 weeks out to my first championship,
okay.
and I quickly have to translate it.
Yeah, all good.
I had a medical issue.
Okay.
Um, so the appendix.
Appendicitis?
Yeah. So nine
Oh,
weeks
man.
out,
Oh,
I
no.
was really in everything went so smoothly. The whole prep was super smooth. I was like 3 kilos from stage weight, maybe 2 kilos from stage weight. And then I had to
Oh,
remove
man.
the appendix, and I couldn't train for almost 3 weeks,
Holy
9 weeks
crap.
out. So this was mentally very tough, and without the coach, without Valentin, for sure, I would have stopped the prep. But
But you
I
kept
mean,
going.
he
So you
didn't
recovered and
push
you kept
me to
going.
keep going, but
Yeah.
he just helped me mentally to get
Wow.
through this, because you train like, I mean, for 2 years I was preparing for that,
Yeah.
and then
Last minute,
last minute,
right before.
you have
Okay,
something
so
like
this
that.
is 9 weeks before you got
Yeah,
appendicitis, you had your appendix removed, then you were
yeah,
completely out of training for
yeah,
3 weeks, and then probably when you were
3 years.
getting back into training, you probably had to, like, kinda take it easy, right? It's not like you could
Yeah,
get back to training with the
yeah,
same level of intensity as right before. Got it.
correct,
Okay, so then
correct.
that would have left you being 6 weeks out from the first competition,
Yeah.
and you had your coach working with you, which was a big help. What was that like, those 6 weeks leading into the
So
first planned show?
I planned the UKDFBA Pro Show, which was
Okay.
6 weeks out,
Yeah.
and because of the issue of the operation, I canceled it, and I did the WNBF Germany, which was like 1 or 2 weeks afterwards. So I think I had like
A
8
little bit
weeks
more time.
and a little bit more time, but I couldn't squat heavy. I couldn't deadlift heavy. I mean, all the exercises where you have a lot of pressure on the core, I couldn't do them heavy properly.
Right.
Um, so WMBF Germany was my first championship where I was, I would say not at 100%. And for sure, I also lost a little bit of muscle mass. I would say not too much. I gained back a little bit, but for sure, after these 3 weeks, I looked flat. So I had to gain back a lot of fullness, and So WMBF Germany, I did the show. The lineup was crazy, and I was not top 5. I think I was 8th or 7th, something around that. So that was my first championship in the 2022 season.
Wow. Well, I
Yeah,
feel like just being able to get on stage in that context is like a huge achievement in itself. Just making it basically to the first competition after having such a serious operation. That's incredible.
yeah, but if you are that far and you pushed 2 years
Yeah.
to get there, yeah,
You're
you
like,
you,
"I'm not
you keep
giving up."
going. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Crazy. And then that wasn't your only show. You had more after that, didn't you?
I did the WNBF Worlds
Yeah.
in Los Angeles, and my feeling after the WNBF Germany was really, I felt so bad. It was a similar feeling as 2018,
Yeah.
but I decided to still do it, the Worlds, finish
Yeah.
strong, and I got rewarded with a third place there. I had no expectation on this championship, and I was I didn't
That's
expect to get even top 5. I didn't. Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to be able to say that you've won top 3 in the world, but it's a whole nother thing to say that you won top 3 best in the world after having appendicitis and getting your appendix removed so
Yeah, yeah.
soon after. That's insane. Um, okay. And what weight class did you compete in? Were you I know previously you'd been heavyweights. Were you still heavy or were you middle at this point?
I was middle, because middleweight at Worlds is, until 82 kilos, which
Right.
is
180 pounds, something like that.
180. Yeah, exactly. So it's a little bit more, and I just sneaked in the middleweight class. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Like, were you expecting to do so well, and how did it
No,
feel getting
it
the
feels
getting the third place?
it felt so good, because I didn't expect it, and my all-time goal was to get into top 5 at WNBF Worlds. So that was always my all-time goal. But yeah, because of the whole story with the appendix, I had no expectations, and I thought I would not be able to get into top 5. And but at the end it it happened, and I got rewarded. So it was
That's
feeling was super nice. Yeah, it was could finish the season in a positive way, positive
that's
thinking.
crazy. Well, I guess
Yeah.
that's so crazy. I mean, that puts things into perspective. I think the next time I'm feeling kinda down about myself when I'm, like, getting deeper into my prep, I'll be like, "Well, hey, if Julian can do this after having appendicitis and continuing to push forward, then, like, I'll be okay." So, no, that's super, super inspirational. That's amazing.
I mean, I also, if you have it, you try to look it in the most positive way. So, and my thought was always, I mean, I was not training for 2 or 3 weeks, almost 2.5 weeks.
Yeah,
Uh, so a lot of stress got away
yeah.
from me. So I always try to look into this positive way that, okay, I can train, but I can relax a little bit more. I have no more stress, and yeah.
I can imagine, I'm thinking about it now, those 3 weeks after the operation must
Yeah,
have been where you couldn't train, must have been harder than all of the prep put together
yeah,
because you couldn't do anything.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you just can't do something about it.
Do you find that
Just
that has helped put things into perspective for you now? It's like, "Yeah, I've been through that. I got to the other side. I ended up doing really, really well." Do you think that that's,
yeah,
like, helped you a lot having gone through that experience?
I think so. I think so. And also, um, yeah, the concern that we lose muscle mass. I mean, I didn't train for 3 weeks,
Right.
and maybe I lost a little bit of muscle mass, but I would say not significantly.
Yeah.
So doing one more rest day or two more rest day is, yeah, it doesn't
It's
change
not
anything. It
yeah.
doesn't change anything.
That's so true, though. There's
Yeah,
so many people I know I've fallen into that trap where it's like, whether I'm in
yeah,
prep or not, it's like, "Uh-oh, I just got something come up. I can't go to my training session today." There always is that little bit of a worry, like, "Uh-oh, I'm gonna lose a little bit of muscle, or I'm not making progress for today." But it's
yeah,
that really does help to put things into proper proportion.
absolutely.
Okay, so 2022, you won 3rd at Worlds, the middleweights. After having appendicitis, you made it through the prep. And then so what was it like after that? Did you get right back to you probably recovered a little bit, but did you get right back to training and what are your plans now? Do you have another competition plan in the future? Are you still kind of thinking about things or where are you at right now since having finished in 2022?
So right now, I'm planning to compete earliest in 2027. So this year and next year, will be off season, and we'll be really focused on growth. Now at the moment, I'm cutting
Yeah.
uh, for a couple of months, and maybe for one more month, and then I will go in a longer gaining fast, maybe 1 year, to really push and to make some gains. But yeah, the older you get, the more time you need to make progress.
Diminishing returns. I think that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
Are you working with the same coach as
Yeah.
you were working with in 2022? Yeah.
No. I just started working with Jeff Alberts.
Got it. Okay. So yep, makes sense.
Yeah. So because the coach, Valentin Tambosi, he was a very famous coach in natural bodybuilding, and then he really changed his whole focus to lifestyle coaching and coaching coaches, not coaching athletes anymore. So that's why I stopped. Otherwise, I would have proceeded with him. I was super happy, and and then I did it for myself, and I just realized it's it just makes more fun if you have a sparring partner who knows what's
So
going
much
on
better.
in your journey.
It's so much better. It's almost
Yeah.
nice to like go through the preps where you're self-coach so you can appreciate the preps where you have a coach that much more because you know what it's like on the other end of the spectrum. But,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I work with Jeff too, which makes sense because he's the one that connected us.
Absolutely. Shout out
My
to Jeff.
shout out to Jeff Alberts. Yeah, I did my first prep with him last year. Or sorry, not last year, in 2023. That's when I competed, and I've done 4 preps, and that was by far the best prep experience that I had. I competed in 4 shows, and I definitely reached my potential at that point. So
yeah, you looked awesome. Really,
thank
you have
you.
a great physique. Yeah, absolutely. Like a very classical physique. Really, yeah.
Thank you. That's
Super
a
nice line.
thank you. That's a really, really nice compliment. Yeah, and right now I'm kind of in the super early stages of my next prep. I'll be competing next year, and I'm starting like
Next
the prep
year.
positioning phase. Yeah. So I'm like 3 weeks into the pre-prep diet,
Okay.
the diet before the
Yeah.
diet. So very early
Yeah.
stages, but still working with Jeff, and it's been amazing so far. So
Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah.
so
Which
what's go ahead.
I wanted to ask which competitions or do you already know which competitions you want to do?
Yeah, I know the first 2 I want to do. The first 2 are gonna be Canadian shows. First one is
Mm-hmm.
gonna be WNBF Vancouver. So,
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver being one of the big West Coast competitions. And then WNBF Kelowna, which is actually the city that I live in, so it'll be really nice. It's a local show. I've never done a show that's in the same city as me, so that would be really, really nice to be able to, have that experience of, it'll be a little bit more convenient. I haven't done that before, so I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna do those 2, and then I think I'm gonna do at least 1 more, maybe 2. Um, my plan is probably not Worlds in 2026. The
Mm-hmm.
next time that I do Worlds, because I did it as an amateur in 2023 and it was an amazing experience. Um, but I think the next time I do Worlds, I want to do it after I've won my pro card. So that's my goal. One of my goals is I would be lying if I didn't say that I wanted the pro card. So I think that I wouldn't do Worlds that year, even if I get the pro card, because those they're early shows, like they're like late spring, early summer. It would leave a really big gap between those early shows, and Worlds would be like 5 months
Yeah.
later. And
Select shows. Yeah.
staying in that condition or even close to that condition might be a little bit tough. The last season that I did, the I was competing over 2.5 months, and by the time I
Mm-hmm.
got to the end of the 4th show, which was the Amateur Worlds, I was pretty burnt out by that point. So I think, judging from that experience, I'm not sure if I can handle like an extra couple months of being in like or even close to prep conditioning for that much longer. So, but it's still a little bit tentative. Even Jeff is encouraging, like, hey, you might want to, like, if you do better than you think you're going to do, then maybe you're going to want to do Worlds. So maybe you could consider competing a little bit later. So it's still a little bit tentative, but right now I'm thinking that it'll be the earlier Canadian shows, and then I'll decide what the third and fourth shows are a little bit later.
And you don't have to decide it now, right? If you're doing the Worlds, so this you can think about it.
Yeah, exactly. I can always. I got more time. Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely. But
are you going to be at Worlds this year?
Am I going to Worlds this year? It's in Los Angeles this year, right?
It's in Los Angeles, yeah.
You know, I'm not sure. I wasn't planning on it, but because it's relatively close to me, maybe just to go.
Yeah.
I have family that lives in Los Angeles too, so maybe to go check it out. Are you considering it? Do you have athletes that are competing there? Yeah, you are?
We have, and we are always, I'm always traveling with the Swiss team to LA. So since I'm bored from the SNBF, I'm always supporting the Swiss team and traveling to Worlds. And it also gets some motivation.
Oh yeah, definitely. Is that going to be your first time in LA since having competed in the LA Worlds?
No, because after that the Worlds were again in LA, and my girlfriend competed in LA at Worlds.
Nice.
So so I was there to support her.
That's awesome. Do you find it's fun going, just not having the, I mean, it's awesome going and having the pressure of competing, but do you find like it's still a fun experience going and just getting to support your athletes and your girlfriend at the time? Like, did you really enjoy it?
100%. I really enjoy it. And I think it also helps me to get motivation, to get a little bit of inspiration, to smell the tan, just to get into.
You know what's funny is as you started to describe it, I like started to smell. Imagine the smell of backstage. Like right before you said it, I was like, I kind of smell the backstage as he's saying this. There's such a distinct smell. It's like, but no, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you see so many people, from Instagram.
It's different when you see it in person too. It's different than just watching live streams.
Absolutely, yeah. Have
Okay,
you never been at Worlds as a spectator or as a? Okay, yeah.
I've only the one time, and it was. Yeah.
I mean, if you can, you should do it.
Well, you're certainly selling me on it. That's for sure.
And then we would meet each other also.
And there's that too. Definitely. Yeah. And it is cool because the natural bodybuilding world, it's not the biggest community in the world. So it is nice to get to know everyone that's in it. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's one of the benefits that I found of doing my last season was getting to meet so many other athletes that I still touch base with now. And I get to talk to them in the podcast here too. So yeah. I guess my last question to close things, I suppose, would be, what do you think your goals are for competing in 2027? Is it similar to the past? Like you want to see if you can reach your current potential? Is that the next goal?
Yeah, I would say. I think because you never know who's competing and who's standing in the lineup next to you. I think for sure I can get better. I have still some potential, also because the season that didn't went 100%. For sure, I'm sure I can get in a better shape, but I'm not sure if I can get a better result than third at WNBF Worlds, because it's really tough and it gets tougher every year. So I think for my next championship, I think the goal is really to beat myself, to be comfortable in my shape, to enjoy the moment on stage a little bit more. And yeah, in terms of if results, if the result will be good, then even better, and otherwise I'm not so sad about it.
Yeah. Well, man, I think it'll be awesome. It'll be a prep where ideally you won't have appendicitis again because you no longer have an
Yeah, it's
appendix,
already
right?
out.
So you
Yes.
don't have to worry about
No.
that. Yeah. But that's awesome as considering like you have all of this time in the off season, and I know that you're working with Jeff, which is amazing. And
Yeah.
then yeah, you don't have to again, I mean, just not having appendicitis is going to be huge. So it'll be it'll be I'm excited to see how you do. And I know we were talking about earlier about, you know, getting people drawn into natural bodybuilding by following individual athletes. Um,
Mhm.
from my own perspective, I'm excited to see um, how you do when you compete. Just your level of physique at that point. I think you're going to be
Thank you.
awesome.
I'm also excited to see you next year.
Oh, thank you.
Really.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. But
Yeah, I
anyways,
mean that makes it interesting, right? If you know the athletes, stories
totally.
behind it, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well, that's the thing is every athlete does have a story. So getting to
yeah,
hear your story in
100%.
2022, it's like a
Yeah,
real underdog story, comes back from a serious operation and still wins
yeah.
bronze at Worlds. That's really cool. That is what makes a lot of this special. So, and very inspirational. But anyways, thank you for this conversation. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you. It really was a lot of fun. Yeah. Thank you very much.